Hello and welcome back to Assorted Beefs, where I talk about anything I want to that doesn't fit into niche tea for any particular reason. We're talking about the Walmart heart cake situation. Here, so you can get the cat view. So you've probably seen this discussed all over your FYP. Basically, this year, it looks like Walmart introduced a line of heart-shaped cakes. I guess they haven't done that before. People were excited about it because the cakes looked really cute, and obviously they were in time for Valentine's Day. So people were able to get cakes at a pretty affordable cost compared to what you would get from a more private bakery. All of this tracks and is pretty much what I would expect. There is a product people are excited about, it's at an affordable price point. But then from there, seemingly in response to these videos where people were saying how excited they were, a number of bakers, I predominantly only really saw one, came forward and started making videos expressing their frustration over the fact that these cakes were available at Walmart for such a cheap price point, because for them, they would charge a lot more and have reasons behind why they would charge a lot more for a similar type of cake. The key points that these private bakers were pretty much bringing up: as individual small businesses, their price points are going to be way higher because everything costs a lot more, and that they are routinely in positions where they seem to be expressing a lot of frustration about the fact that they can't compete with Walmart or other big box type stores, which is fair. But the way that they communicated this was by making it you're the problem if you buy these types of cakes, instead of coming to us and buying our cakes because you're hurting our businesses by doing that. Points are made about the quality of the Walmart cakes not being as good as what, they would be able to provide, which is probably true. But they also then make a point to say that Walmart cake decorators were just bad generally and don't make good quality products. People were saying that they're not paid well, they're paid minimum wage, things along those lines. And again, there was very much you are the problem for engaging in this behavior of buying this stuff from Walmart instead of supporting small businesses. These videos went over about as well as you might expect. Everybody basically said, I can't afford $100+ for a cake. And so if Walmart is able to give this to me in an affordable format, obviously I'm going to take it. And it's fairly shitty of you to yell at me for that. Like, as hard as your life is, my life is also hard. And I do not have the ability to be paying this amount of money for your cakes, at least maybe not all the time. And that's pretty much been the overwhelming response. People, obviously, the comments very much went in that direction. People made a number of response videos kind of making fun of this or talking about how ridiculous they felt that these private bakers were being. There were other private bakers who even came out, and I saw videos from, who said, hey, like, this is ridiculous and this isn't the way to approach this, which I do agree. I have seen a few of the bakers make follow-up videos where they walk back some of the language that was used and a few of the claims, like things around what Walmart pays their bakers and like the quality, because there have been people coming forward and saying, hey, like my XYZ friend, family member is a Walmart cake decorator and loves their job and does a really good job. So like, fuck you for shitting on them. But even in these follow-up videos, there's a lot of doubling down on claims that were originally made, but doubling down on them in a way that's like, I was being reasonable the whole time. All I meant was XYZ, much more neutral statement, which feels very gaslighty, and a lot of people are calling that out too. That's pretty much the facts of the situation, but there are kind of two main takeaways that I think are interesting in this conversation happening, because we see this come up at least every couple of months in a number of small business heavy industries, right? Baking is absolutely one of them. Another would be like nails and hair. These types of services where you have literally an individual person running their own business. It feels like every couple of months a situation comes up, usually on here, relating to one of these types of services where somebody who runs a small business who's charging a certain amount that is definitely higher than what you can get at a more mass or big box type of place that provides that same type of service or product, who's saying, I need to charge this because this is genuinely what it costs for me to be able to run this business. And people say they support small businesses, but then they won't put their money where their mouth is. And then on the other side, we have people saying, hey, I am paid virtually nothing and I am doing the best I can with what I have, and it does not afford me the ability to be able to pay what you are asking for this thing. And that means I've got to do what I've got to do. There are two main conversation points that come out of these types of disagreements pretty much every time. There's an ideological one and a pragmatic one. The ideological conversation is, of course, we are pawns in a larger system. We are being pitted against each other when the reality is Walmart is the problem, right? Like Walmart are the people who aren't paying enough to anybody who works for them. And I say that as a blanket statement. Even if they do pay comparatively decently well to their cake decorators, I don't believe for a second that Walmart pays good wages to anyone that works for them compared to what they're actually expected to do. And because Walmart and Amazon and everybody else pays so little, that's why nobody can afford to buy anything except from Amazon and Walmart and all of those places. Hence why all the small businesses go out of business, because then these guys have so much of a high market share when it comes to this stuff. They're able to buy things in bulk and work, at a higher level than an independent baker, etc. I do think everyone pretty much knows this part at this point, and why I don't think it's a particularly useful point to bring up, and it's kind of obnoxious to be like, but actually it's capitalism. The only reason I do so here is to point out that because of that, the one thing we can do that leads into the pragmatic part of the conversation is keep that in mind when we have these interactions with each other. It shakes me into point number 2, which is we do not have enough empathy when we approach these conversations from the get-go. And that's why in this back and forth, the private bakers are the ones who stepped in shit, frankly, and really didn't approach this the right way at all. The way that you say things absolutely changes the meaning of what you say. It makes me think of a time when I want to say I was like 13 and a friend of mine was telling me and a group of other people that her mom was going to have surgery. Everybody was trying to express to her, oh my gosh, like, I hope everything goes okay, etc. And I wanted to convey that as well. And the way my brain decided to word that was, I hope nothing goes wrong. That is not the same thing and does not mean the same thing, even though the words technically convey the same message. And that's what happened here. If these bakers had come forward and said, hey, we see that like Walmart's coming out with these heart-shaped cakes. That is so awesome. I love that people have an ability to get these who maybe couldn't afford them otherwise. I want to go ahead and show you what you'll get from me if you are able to pay a higher amount. Here's why it's worth it to get it from me if you can. Here are the things I do to ensure quality. Here's what I do from a customer service standpoint that helps justify it. Here's my family that you're helping to support by purchasing a cake from me instead of from Walmart if you have the ability to do so. Something along those lines that shows why yours is worth it instead of saying you're an asshole for buying a cake that you can afford, which is functionally just saying you're morally reprehensible for being poor. That's also what I mean when I say it's very disingenuous and gaslighty to see these follow-up videos where people are reframing their original arguments in the way that I just did to be like, no, I think it's great. I'm just saying there are differences and mine is going to be better. That's not what you said. That's not what you said. Don't piss on my feet and tell me it's raining. If I'm being super charitable, my assumption is that these bakers were really in their feelings about the fact that they probably do get a lot of flack prompted for their prices being high to begin with. So they see something like this come out and they see that as people who give them shit being justified by Walmart. Like, look, see, it doesn't cost that much. And they probably felt a type of way about it. That does not justify this as a response or make this like a good way for them to approach this conversation. If you can shop local, shop local. If you can't, buy the stuff you can afford. You don't have to deny yourself things so that you can shop local. That is ridiculous. We live in a society. Here is more jorts, because I know I owe everyone more jorts from last time. I am back from the hospital, as you can see. I am going to be okay. We had pneumonia. It sucked, but we're going to be all right. You going to jump? What are you going to do? Okay, let's say bye. Bye.